Earlier this week, I was combing through game sales data because that's a thing I do apparently. Specifically, I was looking at what the best-selling series in each genre was. Most of these were pretty predictable. Pokemon owns JRPGs, Call of Duty owns shooters, and Mario owns all of us. However, there was one that really stood out to me. Tekken. I always knew the series was decently big, but the biggest? Bigger than Smash Bros? That caught me off guard. But the more I thought about it, the more it began to kind of make sense. After all, the two fighting games I played the most as a kid were Tekken 3 and Smash Bros. So what was it that made these games so accessible to such a broad audience? One thing I want to make clear before we get started is that I'm not really an FGC member. I occasionally go to Melee tournaments to serve as pools fodder, but as far as more traditional fighting games go, I'm good enough to beat all of my friends at Street Fighter and BlazBlue, but not even be able to touch anyone who knows what they're actually doing. I do enjoy these games, but it took me a long time to learn how to enjoy them. Meanwhile, I have enjoyed both Smash and Tekken since the moments I first touched them, and have only become more invested in them with time. Because while at first glance these games may seem like polar opposites, both games are able to invite and maintain a broad audience through use of largely similar approaches. First off, both games have easy to understand control schemes, with both games having simplified inputs compared to most fighting games. As a kid, I struggled with Zero's special moves in Mega Man X4, much less pulling off the movements needed to play Street Fighter effectively. A quarter circle forward was just beyond me, and honestly it would remain beyond me until I hit 20 years old and put a concentrated effort into getting good at fighting games. But Tekken and Smash would both envelop my childhood off the back of the simplicity of their controls. Smash has famously simple controls. Every move is activated by holding the control stick in a direction and using a special attack, regular attack, or grab. Between aerials, throws, tilts, and smash attacks, this grants every character around 25 moves, including all of the cool flashy ones that are always immediately ready at their disposal, with at most a simple stick movement and a button press. True, there are more advanced inputs like wave dashing and shield dropping, but for low-level play as crafted by the designers, the controls are transparent and simple. Likewise, playing Tekken feels very clean compared to a lot of fighters due to its implementation of face buttons and simple directional inputs to execute moves. Not only that, but it shows you in the move list what hits combo into each other, making it much easier to learn the game. And while the dreaded quarter circle combo moves do make an appearance, the moves that can be executed without them feel satisfying and cool enough that you don't feel shortchanged. I want to make this clear, I have nothing against quarter circle inputs or even more complicated inputs. But I have seen more than a couple people abandon fighting games early on because they felt that making a Hadouken was simply beyond them. But I have never seen anyone walk away from Smash or Tekken feeling confused and as though the game was simply too hard for them to learn the most basic elements of. And ironically, I feel this might be something that's already been fixed in Smash 4 with Ryu. Smash 4's Ryu abides by the classic control scheme of Smash. B to use Hadouken, up B to use Shoryuken, etc. This makes these moves incredibly easy for a novice player to pull off. However, at high levels of play, they are almost never input this way, because if you input them using the classic quarter circle or Z movement inputs, they do more damage. This simplified control scheme paired with an incentive to master a more complicated control scheme is brilliant, and has led to a good number of Smash players mastering those inputs with very few complaining that they're out of place. And if more traditional fighting games included a similar kind of mechanic, I think we'd see more low-level players be able to manage these controls. Beyond the controls, both games are very bare bones in their core gameplay. There are no meters to keep track of, no assists to manage, and no easily spammable large projectiles. Things are kept simple in not only the controls, but in the actual systems themselves. That's not to say these games have a low skill cap by any means, I mean, just look at this.
Someone needs to recreate that.
I'm streaming camera mode when I get home.
Done.
We're gonna take some pictures.
The double dip!
Rather, it's to say that by keeping the systems in place simple, it keeps the skill floor at sea level without removing the sky-high skill ceiling for the serious crowd, and that is catnip for a casual audience. But while ease of use and understandability are important to making these games popular, I feel there's one more thing that gets overlooked a lot when we're talking about what makes these games so playable in the first place. The fact that there's a vast variety of game modes and ways to play. This is something I feel gets overlooked in a massive amount of fighting games, and it's really unfortunate. The mechanics present in games like Street Fighter and Guilty Gear could be used in so many radically different ways beyond just 1v1 matchups, but they just aren't. And I understand that the core audience of these games, the competitive players and EVO watchers, will turn their nose up at them, but these modes can be priceless for bringing these games to a broad audience without sacrificing any complexity that the core audience loves. I know this to be the case because this was a massive factor in what made Tekken and Smash so popular. I can only speak for myself here, but I vividly remember spending about as much time playing Tekken Ball with my friends as I do the actual Versus mode, and this isn't even taking into account the massive amount of hours I sunk into Tekken Force. But while Tekken's variety is strong, Smash is the king of this kind of design, especially once Melee was released. There are so many different ways to play this game that the stock competitive format isn't even the default. You have coin matches, team fights, items, events, adventure mode, stadium, time matches, and a plethora of stages. I literally do not think I could count all of the different ways you could play this game outside of its competitive format, and this has given each game in the series an unprecedented kind of staying power. I struggle to think of any game more reliably played and enjoyed by everyone, if only because everyone has a way to play it that they find fun. These modes kept me playing both of these games long after me and my friends got bored with 1v1s, subconsciously taught us concepts like zoning, and most importantly served to tide us over until we got interested in the Versus mode again. The most important thing you can do for a competitive game is to keep people playing it, even if it isn't the competitive mode, because the longer people play it, the more likely it is that they're going to begin to take it seriously. Not only that, but they can be used to teach players how to play more effectively in a more engaging way than just handing them a series of inputs to chain together. In the Smash Bros. Documentary, there was an interview with the Smash player Hungrybox, who is either the number 1 or number 2 ranked Melee player in the world depending on who you ask. He recounted how he was obsessed with completing the game 100%, getting every trophy and completing every mode. In the process of clearing one of the events, he discovered Jigglypuff and her move Rest, and would immediately begin to use her full time. 15 years later, he would use Puff to take first place at EVO, and if that doesn't say everything about how these modes can benefit both casual and competitive audiences, I don't know what will. There are more abstract reasons these games did so well, to be sure. Tekken was at the right time and place to gain popularity, with it being one of the first fighting games to show up on the original PlayStation, which brought it a massive audience due to the PS1's runaway success. And then there's Smash's use of classic Nintendo characters that I don't think I even need to explain. However, these factors didn't ensure these games' success. After all, Street Fighter the movie The Game was an American PS1 launch title, and, well, who played that? Likewise, PlayStation All-Stars had a ton of equally recognizable and beloved characters, but when was the last time a friend of yours eagerly suggested getting in a round in a Royale? Look, I love fighting games. Even if I am not that good at them, I love playing them, I love watching them, and I love talking about them. I want as many people as possible to be able to love them the way I do, and an easy way to get people to love games is simply to have them play them to the point where they understand them. This isn't a call to do away with complex controls or super meters or the need to engage in any real training. Rather, this is a call to craft games where novice players will learn to do those things naturally simply because the game is so usable and so rich with choice that they'll learn it by simple exposure. Fighting games are amazing, and they deserve a bigger audience than the one they have. But if we're going to get that audience, we're going to have to offer them more than a bare-bones arcade mode, a vapid story mode, and an ungratifying list of trials that just tell them to get good. With just some simple variety and quality teaching tools, I believe we can make fighting games as popular as they deserve to be. And no games show that off better than Tekken and Smash. Hey guys, Ryan here. Just wanted to apologize real quick for not being consistent lately. I've got caught up in real life work, and then the election happened, and I feel not great about that, so I've been a little off. But I'm here to let you know things will be returning to our usual schedule starting this week. And there's a good chance I'll be making some more content of a slightly different stripe. More on that next time though. You're all great, I love you, peace. Okay, hold on.
Don't do it.
Okay. No, hold on. I'm just doing this to show them. Wait, hold on. Look. Okay, resting, right? Resting? No, we're not. 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 She's not asleep. She's still watching you. Look at the reflection. This is.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I was like, what the fuck is so funny? That's fucking satanic.